When looking back at the heyday of Suburban Noize records, well, it's easy to get lost in the daydreaming phases and the reign of the Cottonmouth Kings. But to anybody familiar with Suburban Noize records, well, you know just how eclectic the label can be. And there really wasn't a scene or movement in Southern California back in those days that SRH did not have a hand in. SRH, supporting radical habits, stoners wreaking havoc, whatever you want to call it. Basically, Kevin Zinger's formidable clothing brand. And thankfully for us, Kevin Zinger was doing all this because, honestly, Sub Noize defined the sound of my youth, my very confusing and dysfunction-ill youth. But hey, one hell of a soundtrack. Aside from the Cottonmouth Kings, though, in the early days of Sub Noize, well, they also put out some bangers from acts like Judge D, Grand Vernacular, OPM, and later with stuff like Saigon and Jada Pinkett Smith's Wicked Wisdom. But there was also some true underground energy and genre-bending stuff from bands like Funk Junkies and, may I say, even Pakalika's solo album. But when it came to the punk rock side of things, well, Sub Noize released some stuff from Humble Gods, X Pistols, and they even kind of cornered that current kind of Warped Tour sound with a group called Last Laugh. Anybody else ever see those guys? Should I make a video about them? Let me know down below. All of these groups, they toured with Cottonmouth Kings and they got a lot of eyes and ears in the process, while always remaining underground. But perhaps the most standout, or even the most active group signed on the roster, was also a group that would have been genres in their own time with Sub Noize, as well as leave one hell of a legacy with their 3 Sub Noize releases. A band that's really defined by their area and, that sound. A little band called Mower. When I first heard Mower, no, not that Mower, this Mower, the real Mower. Well, when I first heard these guys, I'll be honest, I kind of found them to be a snot clone of sorts. I don't know, I guess it's pretty obvious why one would think that, but just listening a little more, you kind of see that the band really was much more than that. I guess I'm judging their first album when I draw the Snot comparisons, although it goes a little deeper when it comes to Snot and Mower, but more on that in a little bit. I got to see Mower back in 2005 along with Last Laugh, and they were opening for Cottonmouth Kings in Houston. I believe it was at the Engine Room. And talk about one hell of an energetic show. These dudes were great live. I remember at the show there was this very drunk older dude, right? He was claiming to have been a juggalo for like 30 years, however that works in 2005. And he was just annoying the piss out of everyone. At one point, Brian Sheenan, Mower's singer, the bald guy, well, he went to cheers this dude as they were both drinking, and this dumbass thought Brian was handing him his beer. So he grabbed Brian's beer, spilt it all over. Brian was pissed, smashed that microphone in that dude's face. I'll never forget that sound. Poof, real hard, right in the dude's face. And he basically told everyone, hey, fuck this guy up, and yeah, he got dragged out of the venue. Fun little memory from my youth.
I fucking jumped on this guy and started fucking wailing on him, dude, hitting his fucking teeth, dude, and then they kicked me out for no reason.
And with that first album, it's hard to put it in a category, but the moniker of SoCal punk hardcore kind of does it justice. At times, too, it really does take on a new metal vibe, mainly because of the 2 different singers and whatnot. Mower got going largely due to Brian Sheenan, who was a fan of the blooming scene and would follow a lot of bands around and be at shows, mostly from a group called Stretcher back in their early days. Now, he would get a few things going, but it wouldn't be until the rest of the guys moved out from Colorado that fate would finally, kind of come full form, and they would all kind of start this little band, go through a few names before landing, the typical story. And they were a group that, honestly, at the time, at least, they were unprecedented, seriously, taking elements from bands like Suicidal Tendencies, Snot, and even a lot of hardcore elements. So by the time these guys got together and started opening some notable shows, they were already getting their name out there in any ways they could. They would find areas where big punk shows were happening, and they'd flyer the shit out of them, or just big shows in general, as long as they're getting their name out there. And soon Brian had the bright idea of getting on Kevin Zinger's radar. Again, as he was known for throwing all these massive punk shows. And at this time, Zinger was killing it, booking bands like No Doubt, Sublime, Blink-182, Offspring, as well as Bad Religion, Social Distortion, D.I., Agent Orange. So the way Mowers saw it, they knew whose radar to be on.
Hey, we're Blink-182. Thanks to SRH for having us tonight. Get ready to see these guys. Seriously. I want to be a part of SRH. They have the best parties. They're always the hottest chicks, and somebody's always naked.
And as luck would have it, Zinger did hear about them and did enjoy their live shows, and so he eventually worked out a deal to put it on his label, Suburban Noize Records, which of course was co-owned at the time by Brad X. And from what I could find, I think Subnoize kind of just released the band's first effort that they recorded themselves, because they were kind of pushing this demo at the same time as well. And I guess it was good enough, man, and they just re-released it. I think that's what happened. If I'm wrong about that, let me know down below. And I'm referring to their first album here. But, you know, all that being said, I remember hearing this album and thinking, damn, these guys really sound like Snot. Why do I keep thinking that? Although it wouldn't be until the band's second album that was actually produced by a member of Snot and whatnot. But they all knew each other, so I don't know, fuck me, I guess. And here, the sound goes out a little further, and they went to a lot of places musically with their second effort. And it would be around this time that the band would kind of start playing with their own sound. They would go on tour, they would do a lot of shows under the moniker of Slower, which was where they would kind of like get their own songs of Mower, and they would slow them down in a lounge act, kind of a jazz vibe. They got some more musicians involved, and it was a pretty cool vibe, man. I really wish they put a full album out.
Light in a daze, standing on the brake. Put the car in gear, it ain't a parking space. Do what's right, do what's right, do what's right now. Put it over to the right.
And I was kind of waiting for the Slower album when I realized I don't think it's coming. And any tracks we did get were on that third album. And I never really got too into that third album, aside from the slower tracks. And I don't know, man, I was always confused by that. I thought Slower had some album coming, but it never happened. And it's something that lead singer Brian Sheenan commented on, that he wishes they didn't mix the two sounds on one album, etc. But it's all good. I mean, it's very cool that they decided to do Slower either way, you know? But sadly, after that third album, they never really would put anything else out as a band. Nothing under Subnoize, that's for sure. But, you know, the group had a great run. There was some controversy. I remember them popping up in the news, or in like, you know, the punk news or whatever, whenever their van got broken into. I think it was their van that got broken into in Atlanta. All their stuff got stolen. Pretty interesting stories there with the group overall. They got some big shows, big tours. They toured with Soulfly, you know, they appeared on Warped Tour at one point. And they're fondly remembered, man. I mean, you guys tell me all the time, like, what's up with the Mower video? Whatever happened to Mower? And I even asked Zinger when I was talking to him a while back, like, hey, is Mower still around? He's like, oh yeah, those dudes are always around, you know, they're cool dudes or whatever. And that, you know, there just was never any other plans to release anything. So it just kind of played its course, and I'm glad it did. As for Brian Sheenan, the band's founding member, well, he now sings for that band Stretcher I was talking about. Stretcher, kind of, you know, an OG group, went through their own kind of turmoils and, you know, legendary stories, and now are back with Brian Sheenan singing. And you can still get some of that Mower goodness there, boy.
This city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I just can't see clearly when you're gone.
So what do you think of Mower? Do you think they should come back? I for one, would like another single from Mower, another single from Corporate Avenger. I would like to see Grand Vernacular come back. I want to see all this stuff, just at least one more track from all the dudes. If we can get Brad X popping up in 2025, we can surely get Mower, right? So let me know down below who I should cover next. There's plenty of stuff to talk about when it comes to OG Subnoize. So I want to hear from you guys. I'll see you down in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Please give this video a like and help with getting your boy out there a little bit. I'm trying to keep the channel going, doing a lot more music stuff. I will be back, and we will be talking some more Suburban Noize records. Long live Mower.